What's up everyone, MGR here, and today we're doing and showcasing the build I'm using for Xingqiu. Much like Xiangling, he was used in a lot of videos and I never made a build on him, mainly because these were more or less the stats we were working with. And I can't make a build video with these stats, come on man. But RNG blessed me somehow, some way, and they gave me this crack little artifact right here, which pushes him to absurdly nice levels. Not the best, but it's build worthy officially. So without further ado, we're going to be making a video on Xingqiu today. One of the best all-around characters ever since his release, still a mainstay on a lot of teams, and overall just a great off-field Hydra DPS unit. Let's get into it. For his Ascension Stat, he has attack, which is surprisingly great on him, mainly because you do tend to stack a lot of energy recharge on Xingqiu, and having the extra attack balances that out for his overall damage output really nicely. For weapons, Sacrificial Sword, that's it. You don't bother with any other weapons on him. The main reason using Sacrificial Sword, not only does it have a great base attack, good energy recharge, but the main reason is Composed, which at rank 5, after damaging an opponent with an elemental skill, the skill has an 80% chance to end its own cooldown. And this is amazing for Xingqiu, mainly because his elemental skill has an immensely long cooldown of 21 seconds, and you want to use that skill of his as frequently as possible because that's where a lot of his damage comes from. Combining that with Sacrificial Sword allows you to get 2 shots of those off, then the weapon's effect will go into cooldown and his skill, and after his skill cools down, the weapon will be cooled down already. Overall making him an absolutely great unit, and why the Sacrificial Sword is his go-to best in slot. For artifacts, as always, use the artifacts that have the best substats, hence what I'm trying to do right here. For artifacts, I do recommend 2-piece Noblesse, 2-piece Heart of Depth if you want him to be maximized for off-field Hydra DPS. If you don't already have a 4-piece Noblesse user, then I would recommend 4-piece Noblesse set on him. If you do not have a good 2-piece Heart of Death or 2-piece Noblesse, you could get away with using either a combination of 2-piece Glad with 2-piece Noblesse or 2-piece Glad with 2-piece Heart of Death. And of course, the universally amazing artifact set, Emblem of Severed Fate, gives them more energy recharge as well as increased burst damage, which is what Xingqiu wants. For subsets, you are looking at the usual crit rate, crit damage, and second priorities being flat attack and attack percentage with energy recharge if you can. You don't need additional defense, elemental mastery, or HP on him. For sands, I am using attack, Hydra Goblet, and crit rate, but this depends on your personal crit ratio. If you need more crit damage, then run a crit damage circlet. There aren't really any other ways to use him. Physical Xingqiu isn't really a thing, so I'm not going to go in those builds of his. And I do want to mention, if you really need to, you can replace his attack sands with energy recharge, but that's not really optimal for how he's played, and attack is overall better. Looking at Constellations, I am at C3, although I really want to be at C4 and obviously C6. Descent Remained increases the maximum number of rain swords by 1. C2, Rainworm Bond, the Azure Sky, extends the duration of Gua Sword Raincoat by 3 seconds, decrease the Hydra resistance of opponents hit by rain sword by 15%. Weaver of Verses and Embrace of Rain increases both his skill and burst levels. Evil Soother, which is really where he starts ramping up. Throughout the duration of Gua Sword Raincutter, the damage dealt by Gua Sword Fatal Rain Screens increased by 50%. And C6, hence called on my own verses, activating 2 of Gua Sword Raincutter's Sword Rain attacks greatly enhances the 3rd Sword Rain attack. On hit, the 3rd Sword Rain attack also regenerates free energy for Xingqiu. So he ramps up extremely well at C4 and C6. Going over his talents, you don't really use him as a on-field DPS, so normal attack can be ignored. Then you want to focus on Guhua Sword, Fatal Rain Screen, and Guhua Sword, Rain Cutter. Fatal Rain Screen, Xingqiu performs twin strikes with his sword, dealing Hydra damage. At the same time, this ability creates the maximum number of rain swords, which will orbit around your active character. Rain swords have the following properties. When a character takes damage, the rain sword will shatter, reducing the amount of damage taken, increases the character's resistance to interruption. 20% of Xingqiu's Hydra damage bonus will be converted to additional damage reduction for the rain swords. Not only does this attack do pretty good damage, it also gives you damage reduction, resistance to interruption, and you get additional reduction based off his Hydra damage bonus, which is pretty high. We'll get into that in just a moment. Rain Cutter, of course, if you love Virgil from Devil May Cry series, you'll be raining swords down on your opponent. So, the ability itself: initiate Rainbow Blade Work and fight using an illusory sword rain, while creating a maximum number of rain swords. Your active character's normal attacks will trigger consecutive sword rain attacks, dealing Hydra damage. The rain swords will remain at the maximum number throughout the ability's duration. These also have a great scaling, which does per sword a lot of good damage. Hydropathic: when a rain sword is shattered or when its duration expires, it regenerates the current character's HP based on 6% of Xingqiu's max HP. I did mention you don't have to invest any more HP on him than he already has, and I still stick by it. The healing is nice to have, but it's not something to focus on. And finally, Blades and Mr. Raindrops. Xingqiu gains a 20% Hydra damage bonus. That's it, for free, no reason at all. Having said all that, let's get into it. Similarly to how I did with Albedo, I'll be pairing Xingqiu with Keqing. Mainly since she attacks really fast, she'll be able to show off the off-field damage Xingqiu can do very effectively. So, let's bully Masanori. As said, you want to use his burst, do 2 sword attacks, and then switch to the character that's going to use his rain swords. And as you can see, damage just raining in on him. So the rain swords are finished, and by now his cooldown is over. Both him and the sacrificial sword can do both of those again. Back to proccing his burst. Back to dealing that sick damage.
Stabilize. No, my sword.
Unfortunately, no rain swords right now, but you can usually get 2 bursts off relatively quickly.
Stabilize. Rain outlines your fate.
Oh, I just couldn't get that last shot in. But as you saw, the Hydra off-field DPS is more than amazing. Let's water some plants.
Body and mind. Witness the power of Guhua. Know my sword.
As you can see, even if your normal attacks do not hit, they still trigger the rain swords. Not exactly a one phase, but more than 3/4 damage just coming in from Xingqiu and Keqing. For today's Primo Bishop fight, I want to do something a little bit different. I want to actually show off the vape combo between my Xingqiu and Xiangling, and I want to use Razor today, mainly because I haven't used Razor in a while, and I don't really see a lot of people talking about the great interaction Razor has with Xingqiu, mainly because Razor's burst combined with Xingqiu's burst do synergize extremely well. So for today's team comp against the Primo Bishop, we are using Zhongli, Razor, Xiangling, and Xingqiu. Let's get into it.
Solidify! Let me weave you a verse.
80% chance to end its own cooldown. 80% chance to end its own cooldown.
80% chance to end its own cooldown.
Mama, get them! You're toast!
Soup.
Stabilize! Know my sword! Rain outlines your fate.
The stats for today's team. I hope you enjoyed my build and showcase on one of the best characters in Genshin Impact. He's been on so many teams, there's not really much to say about him. He's widely known as one of the best support characters in the game. With that being said, if you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate a like, and if you want to see future content, subscribing will help the channel immensely. Thank you so much for watching. MGR out.